I watched him laugh as his friends humiliated me at the gala. They threw champagne on my dress, called me a gold digger, and told me I didn't belong. Sebastian just stood there, smiling. What they didn't know, I owned the building they were standing in, and I was about to destroy them all. But let me back up, because this story starts way before that night. And trust me, what happens next will leave you speechless. Hit that like button right now and subscribe, because this revenge is brutal. Don't you dare skip ahead. My name is Emery Harrington, and I'm worth $47 billion. Well, technically my family is. My father, Lawrence Harrington, built an empire from nothing. Real estate, investments, hotels, tech companies, you name it, we probably own a piece of it. But here's the thing nobody tells you about being that rich. You never know who actually likes you. When I was 10 years old, my mother died in a car accident. Suddenly, I wasn't just a kid anymore. I was an asset. A target. People started looking at me differently. Kids at school wanted to be my friend, but only because they wanted invitations to our vacation house in the Hamptons. Adults smiled too widely, laughed too hard at things that weren't funny. And when I turned 16, someone I thought I could trust, my writing instructor, tried to kidnap me for ransom. That changes you. It really does. My father became obsessed with security after that. Bodyguards everywhere, private schools, vetted friends. I lived in a golden cage. And honestly, I was suffocating. Every person who came into my life was investigated. Every relationship felt transactional. I started wondering if anyone would ever see me as just Emery. Not Emery Harrington, the heiress, just me. So on my 25th birthday, I made my father a deal. Give me 1 year. 1 year to live like a normal person, under a fake name, with no security detail breathing down my neck. I wanted to know if someone could love the real me, without knowing about the money. He hated the idea, but eventually he agreed. 1 year. That's all I got. I became Emery Collins. I rented a small apartment in the city. Nothing fancy, just a regular one-bedroom with creaky floors and neighbors who played music too loud. And I got a job at a little bookstore called Chapter and Verse. The pay was terrible. My feet hurt at the end of every shift. But you know what? I was happy. For the first time in my life, people treated me like I was normal. Then Sebastian Cross walked into my life. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon when I first saw him. The bookstore was empty, except for me and my coworker Jenny. The bell above the door chimed, and in walked this man in an expensive suit, shaking rain off his shoulders, like he was annoyed the weather had dared to inconvenience him. "Excuse me." He snapped his fingers at Jenny. Actually snapped his fingers, like she was a dog. "I need a first edition of The Great Gatsby. Make it quick." Jenny's face went red, but she smiled politely and went to check our inventory. He didn't even say thank you. Just stood there, scrolling through his phone, like the world revolved around him. When Jenny came back and told him we didn't have what he wanted, he literally rolled his eyes. "Figures," he muttered. "What kind of bookstore doesn't have basic classics?" I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. I wanted to tell him we were an independent bookstore, not his personal library, but I needed this job, or at least I needed to keep up the appearance of needing it. So I smiled sweetly and said, "I can order it for you, sir. It'll be here in 3 days." He looked at me for the first time, really looked at me, and I saw something flicker in his eyes. Interest, maybe? "Fine," he said, handing me his business card. "Call me when it arrives. Sebastian Cross, CEO of Cross Industries." Of course he was a CEO. 3 days later, the book arrived. I called him, and he came to pick it up. This time he was different, charming, even. He asked my name, complimented my hair, made small talk about books. It felt calculated, like he'd decided I was worth his attention now. But I played along. A week after that, I ran into him at a coffee shop. Or at least it seemed like a coincidence. Looking back, I think he might have been looking for me. He sat down at my table without asking, that confident smile plastered on his face. "Emery from the bookstore, right?" He said it like he was doing me a favor by remembering my name. "You know, you're pretty," he said, stirring sugar into his espresso. "Like really pretty, for someone who works retail." "For someone who works retail?" I felt my jaw tighten, but I kept smiling. "Thanks, I think." He laughed, like I'd told a joke. "Listen. I'm going to this gala next weekend. The Windsor Charity Gala. It's a huge event, very exclusive, very high profile. I think you'd enjoy seeing how the other half lives." He leaned back, clearly proud of himself. "What do you say? I'll give you a night you could never afford yourself." Every word out of his mouth made me want to throw my coffee in his face. But instead I tilted my head and said, "Sure, that sounds interesting." He grinned, like he just won something. "Great. I'll pick you up Saturday at 7. Wear something nice, but don't worry if you don't have anything fancy. You'll fit in just fine." As he walked away, I sat there, my hands wrapped around my cup, thinking about what I'd just agreed to. The Windsor Charity Gala. The event was being held at the Harrington Grand Hotel, my family's hotel, the one I'd spent countless hours in as a child, running through marble hallways while my father conducted business. Sebastian had no idea what he'd just walked into, and I was going to enjoy every second of watching him find out. Saturday came faster than I expected. I spent the afternoon getting ready, choosing a burgundy silk dress that was elegant, but understated. It was Valentino haute couture, custom-made, and cost more than most people's cars. But it didn't scream wealth. It whispered it. Exactly what I wanted. Sebastian picked me up in his Bentley, and the first thing he said was, "Wow, you clean up nice. I wasn't sure you'd be able to pull it off." I smiled tightly. "Thanks." As we drove through the city, he kept making these little comments. "Your apartment building is pretty rough, huh? Don't worry, once you see how real success lives, it might inspire you to aim higher. You must be excited. I bet you've never been to anything like this before." I just nodded, watching the city lights blur past the window. Inside, I was counting down the minutes until this man got exactly what was coming to him. When we pulled up to the Harrington Grand Hotel, I felt a strange mix of nostalgia and anger. The building was stunning, all glass and gold, with fountains out front and red carpets leading to the entrance. Photographers lined the walkway, snapping pictures of arriving guests. Sebastian ate it up, waving like he was royalty. Inside, the ballroom was breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen stars. Tables were draped in cream silk, centerpieces overflowing with white roses and orchids. A string quartet played softly in the corner. It was the kind of beauty that made you forget, just for a moment, that the world outside could be cruel. But the people inside, they reminded you real quick. Sebastian immediately started parading me around like I was some kind of accessory. "This is Emery," he'd say to his friends, that condescending smile never leaving his face. "She works at a bookstore. I thought I'd give her a night to remember." His friends smiled politely, but I could see the judgment in their eyes. The way they looked me up and down, calculating my worth based on my dress, my shoes, my lack of jewelry. I was being measured, and found wanting. And they didn't even try to hide it. Then I saw her. Patricia Vanderbilt. Sebastian's ex-girlfriend, and from what I'd read in society pages, an absolute nightmare of a human being. She was tall, blonde, dripping in diamonds, and walking toward us with the kind of confidence that only comes from never being told no. "Sebastian," she purred, kissing him on both cheeks. Then her eyes landed on me. "And who is this?" "This is Emery," Sebastian said. "My date for the evening." Patricia's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "How charming! Tell me, Emery, what do you do?" "I work at a bookstore," I said calmly. "A bookstore?" She said it like I told her I cleaned sewers. "How quaint. Sebastian, is this your new charity project? Are you bringing the help to fancy events now?" A few people nearby laughed. Sebastian chuckled too, though he tried to hide it with a cough. Patricia, be nice. I am being nice, she said, her eyes never leaving mine. I think it's wonderful that Sebastian is giving back to the community, taking underprivileged girls to galas. It's very generous. I felt the anger building in my chest, hot and sharp. But I kept my face neutral, smiled even. It's a beautiful event, I said simply. Patricia tilted her head, studying me like I was a bug under a microscope. Let me get you a drink, she said suddenly. She picked up a glass of red wine from a passing waiter's tray, and took a step toward me. Then, as if in slow motion, she stumbled, and the entire glass of wine splashed across my dress. Gasps erupted around us. I looked down at the dark red stain spreading across the burgundy silk. Patricia's hand flew to her mouth in mock horror. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. She didn't sound sorry at all. I'm such a klutz. Don't worry, though. I'm sure that dress didn't cost much. What was it? $50? I'll Venmo you right now. The group around us was trying not to laugh. Sebastian looked uncomfortable, but didn't say anything to defend me. He just handed me a napkin and whispered, It's fine. Just ignore her. You're doing great, for someone who's not used to this kind of thing. I took the napkin slowly, looked at Patricia, and smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the kind of smile that should have warned her, but she was too busy basking in her cruelty to notice. Thank you, I said quietly. I'll manage. Dinner was worse. We sat at Sebastian's VIP table, surrounded by his circle of elite friends. Patricia made sure to sit directly across from me, her eyes never leaving my face. Every few minutes, she'd make another comment. So, Emery, what exactly does a bookstore clerk make these days? Minimum wage? Emery, do you even understand what charity we're supporting tonight? It's for underprivileged youth education. Maybe they can help people like you. Sebastian, does your date know which fork to use? Should we give her a quick etiquette lesson? The worst part wasn't Patricia. It was Sebastian. He just sat there, letting it happen. Sometimes he'd laugh. Sometimes he'd jump in with his own condescending comments. Oh, she's learning, he'd say. It's cute, really. At one point, someone asked me what I did for fun. Before I could answer, Sebastian cut in. She reads books. That's about it. Simple pleasures, you know. The table laughed, not with me, at me. I excused myself to the bathroom. I needed a minute to breathe, to remind myself why I was enduring this. As I stood at the sink, staring at my reflection and the wine stain on my dress, the door opened behind me. Patricia walked in, and this time there was no pretense of politeness. Let me make something very clear, she said, her voice dropping to something cold and venomous. Girls like you make me sick. You think batting your eyes at Sebastian is going to change your pathetic little life? It's not. He's using you. She pulled out her phone and started scrolling through photos, pictures of Sebastian with other women, different faces, same type. Pretty, ordinary-looking girls in situations just like this. He does this every few months. Patricia continued. Picks up some poor, desperate girl, brings her to events like this to feel powerful, then throws her away when he's bored. You're not special. You're just this month's project. She stepped closer, actually pushed me slightly against the sink. Know your place, bookstore girl. You don't belong here. You never will. I stayed completely silent. Just looked at her with those cold, calculating eyes that I'd inherited from my father, the ones that made business rivals nervous. What? No comeback? Patricia laughed. That's what I thought. You're nothing. She walked out, leaving me alone in the bathroom. I took a deep breath, then another. And then I smiled. A real smile this time. It was almost time. Back in the ballroom, the charity auction had begun. A sleek auctioneer in a tuxedo stood on stage, presenting items one by one. A weekend in Paris, a signed football jersey, a yacht vacation. Wealthy guests raised their paddles lazily, bidding thousands like it was pocket change. Sebastian was in his element. He bid on everything, constantly checking to see if I was impressed. Patricia bid against him on several items, turning it into a competition. Their egos battled back and forth, each trying to outdo the other. Then the auctioneer announced the next item, and the entire room went quiet. Ladies and gentlemen, our final item tonight is truly extraordinary. A private dinner with Lawrence Harrington, one of the most influential business minds in the world. Mr. Harrington rarely makes public appearances, making this an incredibly exclusive opportunity. We'll start the bidding at $100,000. I watched Sebastian's eyes light up. Lawrence Harrington, my father, the man he'd probably spent years trying to get a meeting with. $250,000. Sebastian called out, his voice confident. $400,000. Patricia countered immediately. They went back and forth, the number climbing higher and higher. $500,000, $650, $750. The crowd was enthralled, watching these two egos destroy each other. $800,000. Sebastian declared, looking triumphant. He glanced at Patricia with a smirk. She glared back, but didn't raise her paddle. The auctioneer smiled. $800,000 going once, going twice. I raised my paddle. My voice was calm, steady, and cut through the room like a knife. $5 million. The room went absolutely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Every single head turned to look at me. Sebastian's face went white. Emery, what are you doing? You don't have. The auctioneer looked confused. Miss Collins, is it? I'll need to verify you have the funds too. I reached into my purse and pulled out a platinum card. Not a regular platinum card, the kind that has no limit. The kind that only about 100 people in the world carry. I walked calmly to the front and handed it to him. Run it, I said simply. He swiped the card, waited, and then his eyes went wide. Transaction approved. The room erupted in whispers. Patricia looked like she'd seen a ghost. Sebastian just sat there, his mouth hanging open. This is insane! Patricia suddenly shouted, standing up. She stole that card. She's a fraud. Someone call security. Right on cue, hotel security started moving toward me. But before they could reach me, the hotel manager came rushing over, his face panicked. He looked at me, and I saw the exact moment he recognized me. Stand down, he hissed at security. Stand down right now! What's going on? Sebastian demanded, standing up. Who is she? The manager was sweating. Mr. Cross. I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. The ballroom doors opened. My father walked in, flanked by his security detail. Lawrence Harrington, in a perfectly tailored suit, his presence commanding every ounce of attention in the room. People literally stood up. Some even bowed slightly. That's the kind of power he had. He walked straight toward me, ignoring everyone else, and then he smiled, a real, warm, fatherly smile, and kissed my forehead. Sweetheart, he said loud enough for everyone to hear. Why didn't you tell me you were attending tonight? I would have cleared my schedule. The room exploded. Whispers turned into shocked conversations. People were pulling out their phones, frantically Googling. I could see the exact moment it clicked for everyone. Sebastian looked like he was going to pass out. My father turned to face the crowd, still with his arm around my shoulders. He looked at Sebastian, and his smile turned cold. Mr. Cross, he said, his voice polite, but carrying an edge that made grown men nervous. I've heard quite a bit about your company. We should talk sometime, about your business practices. Sebastian stammered. Mr. Harrington. I didn't. I had no idea. Then my father's eyes landed on Patricia. And you must be Patricia Vanderbilt. His smile was razor sharp. Your father owes my firm $200 million. The payment is overdue. We should discuss that. Patricia looked like she was going to faint. All the color drained from her face. My father addressed the entire room now, his voice carrying that natural authority that made people listen. Ladies and gentlemen, let me properly introduce my daughter, Emery Harrington. She's been spending some time observing the charity circuit, taking notes on how people behave when they think no one important is watching. He paused, letting that sink in. She has excellent judgment of character. Then he stepped back, gesturing for me to take the microphone. This was my moment, the moment I'd been building toward all night. I walked to the stage, my wine-stained dress and all. The room was dead silent. Good evening, everyone, I began, my voice steady and clear. I want to thank you all for tonight. You've shown me exactly who you are. I looked directly at Patricia. Patricia, thank you for the wine on my dress. This cheap dress you mocked, it's Valentino Haute Couture. Custom made. It costs $47,000. But you know what? That's not what matters. What matters is that you thought it was okay to humiliate someone, because you assumed they were beneath you. Patricia tried to speak, but no words came out. I turned to Sebastian. And Sebastian, thank you for this enlightening evening. You wanted to bring a simple girl to a gala, to show off your generosity, to feel powerful by elevating someone you thought was beneath you. Let me tell you the truth. I paused, letting the tension build. My family owns this hotel, and 12 others just like it across the country. We own 40% of the real estate in this city. Sebastian, your company, Cross Industries, you lease your headquarters from my family's firm. You've been paying us rent for 3 years. Sebastian's legs seemed to give out. He grabbed the table to steady himself. And Patricia, I continued, my voice getting colder. Since your father is $200 million in debt to us, and clearly can't control his family's behavior, consider this your last event at any property we own. Security will escort you out now. 2 security guards appeared at Patricia's sides. She started screaming, causing a scene, but they lifted her by the arms and dragged her toward the exit. Her shouts echoed through the ballroom until the doors closed behind her. I looked back at the crowd, hundreds of faces staring at me in shock, fear, and awe. I came to this gala tonight to test something, I said. I wanted to see if wealth had changed people, or if it simply revealed who they always were. Most of you failed that test. You treated me like garbage when you thought I was nobody. But you would have worshipped me if I'd introduced myself as Emery Harrington from the beginning. I let that hang in the air for a moment. That tells me everything I need to know about you. Not about me, about you. I set the microphone down and walked off the stage. My father was waiting, pride evident in his eyes. But Sebastian was there too, scrambling toward me. Emery, please. He grabbed my arm desperately. I didn't know, if I had known who you were. I pulled my arm away sharply. Security immediately stepped between us. Don't touch her. My father warned, his voice deadly quiet. That's exactly the problem, Sebastian, I said, looking him dead in the eyes. You didn't know who I was, so you thought it was okay to treat me like I was worthless. You don't respect people. You respect bank accounts. There's a difference. I'm sorry, he pleaded. I made a mistake. Please let me make it up to you. We can start over. I'll do better. I almost laughed. Start over? Sebastian, here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow morning you'll receive formal notice that your lease is terminated. You have 90 days to vacate the building. My family is also withdrawing our investment from your company. That's $50 million you'll need to replace. His face went from pale to gray. You'll destroy my business, everything I've built. No, I cut him off. I'm not destroying anything. I'm simply removing my family's support. If your business can't survive without us, that's not my fault. That's yours? My father added, stepping closer to Sebastian. And Mr. Cross, if you ever disrespect my daughter again, or any woman for that matter, you'll find that every door in this city is closed to you. Every bank, every investor, every business partner. I'll make sure of it. Do we understand each other? Sebastian nodded weakly, tears actually forming in his eyes. He fell to his knees right there in the middle of the ballroom. Please. I'm begging you. But I was already walking away. My father and I left through a side exit, leaving Sebastian kneeling on the floor, his perfect image shattered into a million pieces. Outside, I could hear Patricia still screaming at security, her father already on the phone, yelling at her for embarrassing the family. In the car ride home, my father looked at me with something like concern. Did I go too far? I asked quietly. He was quiet for a moment, then shook his head. You showed mercy. If it were up to me, I would have buried him completely, legally, financially, socially. You gave him a chance to rebuild. I looked out the window at the city lights passing by. Maybe some people can learn from their mistakes. Maybe, my father agreed. But most people only respect what they fear. I thought about that, about Sebastian's face when he realized who I was, about Patricia being dragged out screaming, about all those people at the gala who would go home tonight and tell stories about the girl who destroyed a billionaire's empire in one evening. I don't want to be feared, I said finally. But I won't be disrespected either. My father smiled. That's my girl. We drove in comfortable silence for a while. Then he asked, So what now? Are you done with your experiment? Ready to come back to the family business? I considered it. The past year living as Emery Collins had taught me so much, about people, about myself, about what really mattered. But tonight had shown me something else. I couldn't hide forever. And maybe I didn't want to. I'm done hiding, I said. The world is going to know exactly who I am. And if they can't handle a woman with power, I smiled. That's their problem, not mine. My father laughed, genuinely laughed. Lawrence Harrington's daughter, everyone, just like her old man. As we pulled up to my apartment, the one I'd be moving out of soon, I felt something shift inside me. I wasn't the same person who'd started this experiment a year ago. I'd learned that kindness without strength is just weakness. That power without compassion is just cruelty. And that the real measure of a person isn't how they treat their equals, but how they treat people they think are beneath them. Sebastian and Patricia had failed that test spectacularly. But I'd passed my own test too. I'd stood up for myself. I'd protected my dignity. And I'd done it without losing who I was at my core. Tomorrow, the news would be everywhere. Social media would explode. Sebastian's company would scramble. Patricia's family would go into crisis mode. And me. I'd wake up, have my coffee, and start the next chapter of my life. But tonight I'd sleep well, knowing that sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous. And that underestimating someone is the fastest way to lose everything. So, that's my story. The night I stopped pretending to be someone I wasn't, and showed the world exactly who I am. Some people think I went too far. Others think Sebastian and Patricia got exactly what they deserved. What do you think? Was my revenge too harsh? Or was it perfect justice? Drop your honest opinion in the comments below, because I genuinely want to hear what you think. If this story had you on the edge of your seat, do me a favor and smash that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because trust me, I have more stories that will blow your mind. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. And remember this. Never underestimate the quiet ones. You never know who they really are, or what they're capable of. The person serving your coffee might own the building you're standing in. The girl in the simple dress might be wearing something that costs more than your car. And the woman you just disrespected, she might just be the one who decides your future. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And trust me, the next story is even crazier. You don't want to miss it.